Good evening and welcome to our FEMeeting Sisters Lab event, an evening of radical women's voices in art, science, and technology. Yo! So I think everybody knows me here, but I'm just going to do this anyway in case you don't. My name's Kathy High. I'm a co-founder of the Sanctuary along with a million other people and the coordinator of Nature Lab. And I'm going to be speaking tonight with the Sanctuary, another co-founder, Branda Miller. Where is she? There she is, who is also the Arts and Education Coordinator Emeritus. And we want to welcome you to the series of FEMe events, the talks tonight and tomorrow, exciting workshops. So make sure you come tomorrow too.
So we'd like to begin today with a land acknowledgement. The Sanctuary for Independent Media resides upon the ancestral homelands of the Mohican people, who are indigenous peoples of the lands of New York. Despite tremendous hardships and being forced from their lands, today their community resides in Wisconsin and is known as the Stockbridge-Muncie community. We honor this community, past and present, and are committed to building a more inclusive and equitable space for all. We would also like to acknowledge the atrocities occurring in Gaza and call for the halt to the devastation there. And that just really links to the next event at the Sanctuary on April 16th, which is called Spaces of Exception. If any of you are still in town and can come. It's a really, really interesting long-term media project that profiles American Indian reservations alongside Palestinian refugee camps and occupied zones. And that connection happens right here on this block with the Sanctuary Eco Art Trail, where we're connecting the indigenous legacy with the environmental devastation that is still the legacy of today. This event is a collaboration between iEar Presents series with support from RPI's Art Department of the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. iEar Presents is funded by a grant from New York State Council for the Arts, NYSCA. The event is also a featured project of the Sanctuary Eco Art Trail, which is a creative placemaking project to continue to look deeper at this actually urban nature walk space for experimentation and investigation that hopefully is a new platform as we move into the future. I would like to thank the staff and volunteers of the Sanctuary and of Nature Lab for all their help to make this weekend possible. And of course, thank you to all of you participants who've joined us from afar. We are so excited to launch into the FEMe meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Branda. So let me just give you a little back history for FEMeeting, because maybe some of you haven't heard about it before. So how many of you have been to FEMeeting before? Okay, almost everyone. But anyway. Launched in 2017, the conference FEMeeting Women in Art, Science, and Technology was driven by the desire to develop and promote more direct collaboration between individuals who identify as women independently of their sex, including trans women, non-binary women, and genderqueer women. The idea behind FEMeeting was orchestrated by Portuguese artist Marta de Menezes and scholar Dalila Honorata, after realizing that the women in the field of art and science have an unquestionable presence across the world. In 2021, FEMeeting Sister Labs was launched as a hybrid model of interaction between local and global, where FEMeeting members address the community of women in art, science, and technology with an invitation to their lab spaces, which is what we're doing tomorrow. You'll be invited to participate in labs over at Nature Lab, which is our community lab with the People's Health Sanctuary on the second floor. I should also mention that Nature Lab is part of this Sister Lab network, and I already mentioned the workshop, so come. Sister Labs events, excuse me, these events are a lead up to the main FEM meeting, which will be happening in June 2024. And it's a conference that will be happening this year at Windsor, in the University of Windsor in Ontario, with Dr. Jennifer Willett. And so this will be really exciting. These conferences have been in Portugal, they've been in Taos, they've been in many different places around the world, and we were supposed to do one here in 2020. We had it planned, and then the pandemic hit, and it was canceled. So this is our kind of take two, and luckily you're all here. So I'm very glad to have this happen. And we have two other concurrent kind of Sister Lab events happening. One of them already happened in Toronto, led by Roberta Boiani, who is here, who came from Toronto for this. And some of the same participants are here, and others are also participated in Roberta's Sister Labs. We also have another one coming up in Buffalo at the end of this month, and Stephanie Rothenberg is leading that one. And this will happen at the University of Buffalo, so if you want more information on that and you want to go, I'm driving, so yeah. Okay, so for tonight, we have, we're going to do presentations back to back, and so hold your questions till the end. And we're going to start with Stephanie Rothenberg and Suzanne Thorpe, who have the project called Tending Ostreidae. Am I saying that right? Serenades for Settling celebrates the listening body of the heroic oyster. So I'm going to read briefly from their bios. These are not the full bios. They've got lots of other great things and accolades on their bios online, so look at those. Suzanne Thorpe is an interdisciplinary artist-scholar whose creative research intersects electronic music, feminist and ecological theory. She interweaves critical listening practices with acoustic ecology, improvisation, and technology to craft immersive sound engagements and creative research sites that question circulations of power within human and non-human systems. Most recently, Thorpe was a Mellon Fellow and member of the Society of Fellows at Columbia University and is currently Assistant Professor of Sound Studies at Manhattan College. Welcome, Suzanne. Stephanie Rothenberg's interdisciplinary art draws from digital culture, science, and economics to explore, not that, symbolic relationships between human design systems and biological ecosystems. Moving between real and virtual spaces, she engages a variety of media platforms that include interactive installation, drawing, sculpture, video, and performance. She's a professor and chair of the Department of Art in University of Buffalo, SUNY, where she co-directs an interdisciplinary design studio, collaborating with local social justice organizations. Thank you for being here. Cecilia Vilca will also, after this talk by Stephanie and Suzanne, give a talk called Exorcisms of the Territory. This lecture, Exorcism, invokes texts that draw a conversation of times and a history that heals itself. Cecilia Vilca Ocharan, thank you, is a Peruvian trans artist, feminist, chola, techno witch, and language activist. She's a founding member of the Creative and Digital Heritage Division, MIAP, Electron Microscopy Laboratory. From a decolonizing vision, she exercises her epistemological rebellion against technology as a tool and the object of analysis. Her main goal and poetics are to encourage reflection through revelation. Her projects are born from her personal crusades, and therefore they are micro-political flesh. Born, lives, and dreams in from Lima, Peru. She has a MA in Digital Arts, UPF, BCN, Spain. Thank you for being here and coming from Peru via Toronto and Buffalo. Praba Pilar is also presenting the Nixtamalízaté-té-té. Yes. Okay, got it. Which subverts emergent AI systems into fellow travelers, into beautiful pluriversal monsters. Praba Pilar is a diaspora Colombian artist disrupting the overwhelmingly passive participation in the contemporary cult of the techno-logic. Over the last 2 decades, Pilar has presented cultural productions integrating performance art, live work, digital works, video, electronic installation, radio programming, street theater, invisible theater, websites, and writing. These projects have traveled widely to museums, galleries, universities, performance festivals, conferences, public streets, political meetings, bookstores, bars, and radio airwaves around the world. Thank you for being here. You came all the way from San Francisco. Woo. Okay, so we have some very weary travelers, but they're going to do a really great job, and they're going to wow us all. So please join me in welcoming all of our speakers. Thank you.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
This is always the
I know.
tricky thing of,
Hi,
hi, I'm Stephanie.
and I'm Suzanne. We're very excited to be here. Stop it. We really shouldn't be working together.
In front of a bunch of people that we know. We're
Yeah.
just going to be giggling the whole time.
But we are really excited to be here, seriously, and are also very grateful to everyone that has put this together, in particular the sanctuary, and of course Kathy High, who is conducting me at this very moment in her awesomeness. So thank you for that. As we just confirmed, I am Suzanne, and thank you for that awesome introduction. And as Kathy said, I couple critical listening, electronic music, acoustic ecology, improvisation, and technology to think through dynamics between human cultures and natural systems. And some examples of that kind of work, which you can see here, is, so this piece is called Flock, and with this piece, I was thinking about migration patterns. I was thinking about migration patterns between humans and migration patterns of more than humans. And I incorporated sounds from a bird sanctuary that is sitting right next to JFK Airport. So there you have your human and non-human migration systems. And this particular bird sanctuary is a known rest stop for birds as they fly south. And this is where they chose to build JFK. So I went to this sanctuary and gathered all of these sounds and created this piece that really brought this conflict made it audible for folks. And the immersion part was achieved through this 3D sound projection system, which you might be able to see this hanging object that looks like almost like a cross, because we are in a church, so of course it references that. But it's actually a way to project sound in a 3D manner that, in a way where sound will appear in a place where a speaker is not. Okay, so this is one of the ways that I was working with space and actually turning the space into the speaker in a sense, and using that immersive aspect of sound. This next piece is a piece called Resonance and Resemblance. And this one is a piece where I was thinking about resonance as a feminist praxis which I believe myself and other people have taken up in order to think through material interconnectedness. So the piece itself the piece itself engaged the resonance of this quarry pool in order to think through that idea and to have people be that idea within the resonant space of this quarry pool. The piece had 2 phases, one of which was a sound walk throughout the property. The other was a sonic meditation within the quarry pool itself. And the music aspect was composed of resonant features of the quarry pool as well as the soundscape of the pool itself, right? So it was an emergent, dynamic, generative piece that was also immersive. So that is a little bit about my work.
Okay.
Okay. And as Kathy mentioned, I'm an artist based in Buffalo, New York, where I teach at the University of Buffalo. And I work across art, science, technology, and economics, and I create kind of all kinds of things, interactive installations, videos, performances, and sculptures. And I am really interested, as Kathy mentioned, just looking at the relationship between human design systems and biological ecosystems, and looking at the contradictions between the different types of power dynamics that play out. So I'll just kind of go through a couple of works. Let me go back to this one. Is that one back up there? This one. I did a series a while ago that was called Reversal of Fortune, and I did a series of robotic gardens, and I was really interested at the time, and it was the first time working with living media, just looking at visualization and the abstraction of visualization and the way that it dehumanizes the life that it's representing. And so I did a couple of projects where I started using plants, and it was also really funny because I was using plants and people said, "Are you a bioartist?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just using plants." But of ways to kind of inject a more sentient and sensuous meaning to the abstractions of visualization. And I feel like this comes up later in our collaborative project. And then this was called Trading Systems Bioeconomic Fairy Tales. And I used Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico to look at the devastation that happened, and really thinking about, you know, we know that this was due to deinvestment in Puerto Rico, and it wasn't just this massive hurricane that created, you know, so much upheaval to their agriculture, to their electric, everything being destroyed. And so it was like, well, what if we put non-humans in the driver's seat? You know, like, forget the humans, let's look at how things could be designed, redesigned this way. So I created a series of prototypes that would address the different devastation, looking at agriculture, and kind of came up with these witty solutions where, you know, fish were driving aquacultures, we know, with different kinds of aquaponics. This one is looking at electricity and looking at using lemon batteries. And because I was using all of these, you know, organic materials, they obviously start to decompose as well. And also trying to use, once again, visualization in the language of engineering and design systems. And then this project leads into our current project, and it's called Aquadesia. And I did this, I want to say a few years ago, but I feel as I get older, I work on projects for like 20 years. You know, I used to be known as the Second Life lady. Now I'm becoming like the oyster lady. I'm like, that's fine. But this one is called Aquadesia, and it's a cli-fi, you know, like a climate sci-fi that speculates on bioengineering oysters. So everybody knows oysters as, ooh, they're aphrodisiacs. Well, what if we bioengineered them so that we could create, rather than this kind of sexual desire, that we created this other kind of sentience, and I like to say a post-Haraway multi-species entanglement. And so instead, you don't even have to eat the oysters. So they live in these aquaculture vessels, and they secrete this fluid, and the aquaculture vessels are located all over the world, but they're near, you know, public water systems, so the water just, you know, their juices just go into the regular water, and then you could just turn on the tap and drink it. And through this project that Suzanne did the sound is how we actually, or she actually discovered the listening body of the oyster.
Okay, so I think that's my cue. So that's what we're going to be talking about this evening, is our collaborative project, which is Tending Ostreidae, Serenades for Settling, an immersive multimedia installation and performance based on listening with oysters. We'll discuss going forward how listening with oysters through developing this project has helped us to make audible conflicts in human and more than human maritime futures. and how that churns up what Stefan Helmreich terms wave clutter. We'll also share how this project speculatively animates aquatic rather than terrestrial perspectives and ontoepistemologies. Going forward, we'll introduce the mighty oyster, a hero of our marine ecosystem, and invite you to listen with them. We'll then wade through our collaboration and installation and how we heard wave clutter surface as a result of tangential eco-focused initiatives and conflicting human and more than human interests.
So oysters are powerful organisms and vital contributors to healthy ecosystems. So in case you don't know about oysters, they're, well, right?
Yeah.
So those cute little slimy things that can fit in your hand. Of course, you know, sometimes you see the, like, those that are coming from Asia that are like this big. But anyways, a little oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water per day, which is amazing. They're also sea level mitigators, and the way that they reproduce, layering on shells of calcium carbonate creates these oyster reefs to build natural seawalls and also stop erosion. And as you ever seen shell middens around in this country, but all over the world, they've been around for thousands of years as a source of nutrients. And there's actually a shell midden that's over a mile long and several feet deep in British Columbia. Let's see, what were we going to talk about? No, I'm all mixed up with our slides here.
Well, what do oysters need?
Oysters need seabeds to have certain conditions to settle and reproduce. And the way they identify these areas is through sound. So sound, most people are familiar with as a source of noise pollution in larger sea animals, cetaceans such as whales and dolphins. But a lot of this scientific information hasn't been as evident in other marine life. And as I just mentioned, oysters are these, you know, vital members of our ecosystem. And we discovered through research, here you can see, let's go over here, North Carolina State University, that they've been doing a lot of research looking at the way that it impacts the way they settle and they reproduce.
So sound specifically is a signifier for safe habitats for oysters, which tangentially means, if that is true, then oysters actually listen, right? So this was the thing that blew my mind when I was starting to work with Stephanie on her previous project. I discovered that oysters actually listen for safe habitats in order to settle. They don't hear sound in the same way that we do in terms of the sound wave. What they listen for is the particle aspect of sound. They sense that particle aspect of sound through epidermal cells, so their skin in essence, through internal staticystic receptors, so balancing systems, as well as an abdominal sense organ. And with these are all highly sensitive to mechanical waterborne vibrations. They seek to settle in habitats that feature higher frequencies, well, mid to high frequencies in the 1 to 2 kilohertz range. And their ideal acoustic ecology includes the sounds of toadfish and snapping shrimp, among other inhabitants, which sounds something like this. So give me 1 second. Give you what you hear here are toadfish, snapping shrimp, are nice waves that our oysters are immersed in. Studies have also found that oysters appear to be sensitive to low frequencies, sine tones that range from 10 to 200 hertz, so we're really getting into that low bottom, right? They're sensitive to that, and when there's a sudden onset of that sound, they've found that our oysters will close their shells, right? So this is disrupting their reproductive and filtering process, right? So since we want our oysters to be out there doing their thing, right? Not only are they great filters, right? Our seawalls, all that kind of stuff, we want them to be doing their thing. So these kinds of disruptions, right, are going to also disrupt their whole settlement process. So what I want to do here before we go forward is to ask you all to listen with us and listen with oysters. So this gives you a sense of the low end too here. A little more low ends there. And so what we're going to do is engage in a little listening exercise so we can listen with oysters. So I'd like everybody to stand up. I'm going to warm you up first. Is there a way to bring the house lights up just a little bit? Mike, yes? Is there a way to bring the house lights up just a little bit? All right, great, awesome, thank you. All right, I'm going to do this since... all right, so we're going to warm up a little bit so we can listen with our oysters. Yeah, okay, I got you. We're going to start with warming up this area of our bodies, okay? And what I want you to do is face your hands towards your face, your palms towards your face, and we're going to swipe across our forehead, all right? And we're going to do 3 sets of 9. And I'm going to lead you. I will count this out for you, all right? And we're just going to do some rapid swipes across our forehead to we're waking ourselves up, all right? So, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. Take your 4 fingers, put one on each side of your nose. All right? And we're going to rub up and down against, again, 3 sets of 9. All right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excellent. Great. Now, if I can have everybody make our Vulcan sign, right? The V. All right, and put that underneath your ears, okay? And we're going to rub up and down again 9 times, 3 sets of 9, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Roberta's giggling through this. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. Okay, now take your 2 fingers, and we're just going to tap the back of our neck, okay? Nice taps, 3 sets of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. All right, now stay standing. I'm not done yet. So we're going to just tap your body a little bit, all right? Yeah. This sounds great. Awesome. And just come down your arms. Get your shoulder. Probably need that, right? Okay. Now get your pelvis. Don't forget your butt. You gotta listen with your butt, I'm telling you. Listening with your butt is important. Okay, now just swing your arms a little bit if you can. All right, now I want you to enjoy a moment where you can feel a little bit of that energy you just created between your hands. Maybe sense it. And I'm going to ask you to cover your ears with your hands and listen to what you hear. I will play a bell. Once you hear the bell, just remove your hands very slowly, okay? take a nice breath in, nice breath out. I'm going to ask you to listen with the following prompts. Listen to the flows, waves, and pulses all around you. In your body and around your body. Listen to the flows, waves, and pulses through your skin. Listen to flows, waves, and pulses with your inner ear, your inner balance system. Listen to flows, waves, and pulses through your stomach. All right, thank you. So what we just did, listening as oysters, listening with oysters, listen, with our skin, with our internal balance systems, with our stomachs, is what critical geologists Gallagher, Kangisser, and Pryor propose is an epistemology in itself, allowing us to animate, quote, interspecies and interdependent sensibilities of knowing, unquote. And I would add also interatmospheric modes of knowing, from terrestrial to aquatic. In that knowing, our project amplifies a lot of information, including a conflict of eco-focused initiatives in relation to marine futures, a turbulence between oyster reef rehabilitation and human marine activity.
So we've discovered this in part by collaborating with the Billion Oyster Project, which is a nonprofit public initiative with the mission to restore the oyster population in New York City's harbor. So the Billion Oyster Project, anyone familiar with them, being close to New York City? Yeah, so they're a really great organization, and they've been around probably over 10 years, and they're located on Governor's Island, and they work with the Harbor School that's on Governor's Island, which is a vocational school that teaches students about marine science and the fisheries industry. And their goal is to restore New York City historic oyster population, because New York City used to be the epicenter for oyster production, to 1 billion oysters by 2035. And they have about 10 million to 15 million now. It's just really interesting. They have all these different field stations located around the city. And we visited several of these harvesting restoration sites and recorded audio with hydrophones. And one of the things that's been really interesting is they haven't really considered sound as an environmental factor.
They haven't, full stop.
Yeah,
Not even
we're really
kind
surprised. So for example, this one is Bushwick Inlet Bay, so it's kind of in between Greenpoint and Williamsburg, and it's a really quiet area. And you could see from the spectral analysis kind of the silence and then how that shifts in the bottom one when a ferry goes by. Versus here in Manhattan, East 90th Street, that's a very busy area of ferries and other watercraft going by, the difference. So there really is a huge impact with the anthropogenic noise that's going on. And I think a lot of you have kind of been in the area probably for a while. You've just seen the increase in water traffic and also the crazy jet skiers that go behind all the ferries to ride in the wakes. Oops. Do you want to read it about the ferry
This
system?
is the New York Fruit. Oh, okay. Sure. Before we do that, though, can you mute track 1 so we can trade off the sounds cable for us? Yes. Okay, great. Thumbs up, because I can't see a thing. All right. Awesome. Okay, so while she's doing that, I'll give you a little bit of background about the ferry system. So the New York City ferry system emerged in 1905 when it acquired the ferry route running from Whitehall Street in Manhattan to St. George and Staten Island. Since then, it's fallen, and risen again, and into its current state, where it's a unique feature of New York's public transportation system. The New York City ferry system is an economic boon to a growing marine economy in New York Harbor, as we've all just acknowledged, and seen as an accessible, affordable form of public transportation. It's also framed as an environmentally friendly form of transportation. It's estimated that it has a lighter carbon footprint than other transportation modes, and increased usership lessens congestion in other modes of transportation. So we can absolutely see the positive benefits there. However, when we listen with oysters, what critical theorist Stefan Helmreich terms wave clutter emerges. So Helmreich frames waves as literal and metaphorical carriers of media that carry eco, geo, and climatological news. Wave clutter, in a literal sense, is interference caused by wave bands, either electromagnetic or waves, aquatic waves. But for Helmreich, the wave clutter indexes, quote, the inextricability of the world, unquote, and its representations. In this case, listening with oysters, clutter caused by waves of environmental initiatives emerges, signaling the inextricability of our sometimes disparate collage of environmental efforts. Listening with oysters, in an instance of wave clutter, audiates human, not human entanglements between the New York City ferry system and the Billion Oyster Restoration Project. And this clutter is audible, right? On the surface, these both seem like independent and positive initiatives. Once we listen with oysters, the clutter becomes audible. Okay, so our project illustrates this by leveraging maritime and meteorological data from New York's harbor to create an immersive audio-visual environment. And why don't you describe what they're seeing here?
Okay, so what you're seeing is, it's a little blurry, but but it's so all of these platforms are actually citizen science platforms, and there's many of them. I don't know if you've looked at them. And it shows all the different watercraft. It tracks it all over the world. And what we're looking at now is New York Harbor. And if you could see it, you could see that there's cargo vessels, there's ferry, there's other kinds of private, yachts. It doesn't
Everything
really.
from garbage trucks to private, or sorry, garbage barges to private yachts to marine traffic, or sorry, military.
So you're seeing all of this traffic that's creating what, Helmreich calls the wave clutter.
And okay, so we're using this data to generate visual behavior in our installation. And we also use it to generate sound, which is performed with synthesis and field recordings from oyster habitats, which you just heard, projected within a multi-channel sound system. In addition, we apply this marine traffic data, so when a ship passes by, et cetera, to animate sound-responsive robotic oysters in sculpture reefs. That is also a part of the installation. So here's a little documentation of it.
And also want to mention that the animations that we showed were created in collaboration with Sylvia Rosenska, who is at RPI, and also Ben Chang helped a lot too.
Yeah.
Can't do anything without Ben Chang.
Right.
Do you want to hold that up in case I didn't get everything in?
Oh, yeah, here.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Okay. So within our installation, sound, visuals, mechanical sculptures, and data commingle to bemuse participants, shifting their perspective from their typical terrestrial experience to a speculatively aquatic perspective. This is similar to how the ocean functions for blue humanities theorist Melody Jew, for whom the ocean is a disorientation device, for theory and philosophy, a milieu that denatures our normative habits of orienting to the terrestrial world through language. Similarly to Jew's experience with the aquatic environments, our project functions as a place of conceptual displacement and becomes a method of defamiliarization to make our terrestrial orientations visible.
In this bemusement, listening with oysters, we have the opportunity to hear contemporary conflicts or clutter in human strategies for marine sustainability and contemplate for ourselves new models of mutual tending in marine futures. Thank you.
Okay, I am Cecilia Vilca, and I'm going to present my work, Exorcisms of the Territory.
I didn't know it, but I grew up with a machine to see gas. That device that in the year of the pandemic I would call the radio. My products have called key. They are always part of a cluster. I call them releasing projects because I let them be born, grow, reproduce, and if it has to be, they die. In those that I do in the borders of art and science, I ask if science is really that core, and at the same time, what are the methodologies of beliefs? I utilize science, I use tools and methodologies for artistic purposes. My artistic work is made with technology, being this a tool and object of reflection. I believe that knowledge is a continuum. I am a trans artist, a techno-witch. Caminos sellos refer to those unplanned roles that the inhabitants of Brasilia create, and that with time and use end up becoming invisible, like those between art and science. 2017, I work in the company of a drunkard. Violent fireflies fly low and sometimes shine. Once again, a chronicle, always a chronicle. I will be a bird over Brazil and tell God to look at me that here I am. February 2016, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. A set of future relics for Shoshi has been completed and sent to the future. The methodology is taken to the extreme, successive religions in divinity with light, then, being light the physical limitation of optical microscopy that gave way to electron microscopy. Using it, are we not closer to divinity? And then, is this more divine methodology? Lima, February 2020, a predestinated project was born a couple of weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic started. A the antidote to eradicate the virus of romantic love, my first virus of the year. 2016, Lima. Olinda Silvano, Vilma Vainas, and Roger Mori, Shipibo Conigo Ortiz mothers learned the basic concept of electron microscopy and see for the first time a same image of ayahuasca. 2018, Southern Identities Laboratory, Durban, South Africa. Akane, a traditional design of the Shipibo Conigo people from Peruvian Amazonian jungle, is finished using the waters of the Indian Ocean.
Hola Ceci, con mucho amor yo les dedico que tú estás muy lejos y bueno, con mucho amor. Igualmente a ese trigo, este canto, este Ícares, dedicado al amor y con esa tela tú por todo sitio que tú te vas te va a acompañar. Y bueno, voy a cantar.
In 2019, a microscopic pilgrimage takes place on the Praba Trail. The pilgrim research methodologies in the territory. I analyzed samples on the same track, achieving something perhaps never accomplished. The light that enabled the Fosco to function was the one that passed through the branches of the tree, whose roots were born from the same water which was analyzed. The same water that you hear and see now. What are the chances of events like this happening? All are unlikely encounters, all key and caminos of the saints. I come from a family of scientists and I grew up surrounded by images of electron microscopy. Since I was a child, I know the scientific instruments we learn through data. This aspect of technology is the most important for me, and I have called it a poetic of revelation. All that brings me to this moment, in which I dare to propitiate another unlikely encounter, to unite the machine of seeing gods with the machine of making gods, in order to create one or a methodology against future pandemics. Because if a virus can be created, then why can't a god be created? The COVID-19 virus is invisible and on our scale, but we all know its crown. Thanks precisely to the scientific technique that has been familiar to me since I was a child. I am used to working with invisible truths. You cannot see the beliefs of microscopic organisms, but they are there. Biologist Vincent Racaniero states, viruses are molecular wizards that amaze the informed and frighten the uninformed, wizards and mirrors too. This first time represents an opportunity for the deliberate mutation of which Paul Brescia speaks. to exercise our epistemological rebellion, because myths fall, as positive cases increase, and masks hide our faces, but they have turned the world transparent. Due to the inability of the heirs of Fujimorismo to tell the truth, I created an AI voice to do so. I concluded it is the only way. This happened in the middle of the last presidential elections in Peru. Keiko Fujimori was running for the third time. Then I must learn how to train an AI. I listened to all her speeches live from 2011 to the closing of the 2021 campaign, and a chattel torture that I do hypnotically in the hope that this embryo machine learns to tell the truth. But where is the truth? Part of it is stored in the Documentation and Research Center of LUM, created for reflection and memory on the period of violence between 1980 and 2000. There, on its YouTube channel, along with many others, I found the testimony of Liz Rothenberg.
Yo soy Liz Marcela Rothenberg, tengo 23 años, soy ayacuchana. Mi madre fue desaparecida el 17 de mayo del año 1991. Ella era profesora. Ella tenía 2 hijos, que soy yo, Liz y Paul, somos solo 2. Y era madre soltera. Ella era todo para mí, para Paul, todo. Mi madre era muy valiente y me decía, tengo que ser fuerte. Todo cambió, todos mis sueños, todo se me derrumbó. Me quitó a mi madre, me quitó mi felicidad, me quitó todo. Yo tengo derecho a ser feliz, hasta ahora no lo soy. Ojalá que algún día sea feliz. Es lo único que yo espero.
I think of the parallel with my own life, always voting against it, always feeling that my voice is not worth it. Liz, I promise you, I will make that artificial voice which sounds like a robot from the apocalypse. Tell you the truth. Keiko Fujimori, if you took my voice from me, I'll take yours. We'll all take it.
Yo, Keiko Fujimori, soy admiradora tomar de repetidas veces y solo pasantes de su desaparición y con el dolor que desde sus 12 años persiste hasta hoy. Todo es por el día. Se la llevaron quienes entiendo y a quienes lo dijo. Pero es el 17 de mayo del año 1991 que existió. Es ahora sí sucedió esa verdad que buscabas, siendo tan valiente, si existe, aquí está. Soy la heredera del Estado genocida, Alberto Fujimori. Mi padre nunca ha trabajado en mi vida, ni de una agrupación mafiosa llamada Fujimorismo, que tiene cerca de estas elecciones.
I'm hopeful that perhaps this audiovisual confrontation between technologies that the project proposes will have some restitution. Pain does not prescribe. Truth exists, even if it is artificial and in the learning process.
One question remains. If songs are alive, why can I be alive? All the answers to these questions are contained in what we humans have defined as AI. Artificial intelligence is the ability of a computer, program, or a machine to think and learn. In general use, the term means to mimic human cognition, that is to say, a non-human that acts as one. I can also answer this question through the voices of objects, mountains, the jungle, cities. They are sitting in times that are interviewing with other times. They talk and I listen. And who or what can be considered as human? Sometimes it seems that this category is a price, an update of the being, in which it seems that not all of us are included. Knowledge gets articulated as that which allows one to walk a good path through the territory. Language, cosmology, mythology, and ceremony are simultaneously relational and territorial. they are the means by which knowledge of the territory is shared in order to guide others along a good path. Making kin with the machine or the spirit of objects. Why do stones deliver messages and choose persons? Or why do I name my devices and have feelings for cities? Dylan Robinson says that there are those who don't understand that the songs are alive, and I cannot stop asking him, how is this possible? Meanwhile, the mantle of Tupinambá has returned to the territories that today we know as Brazil. The object has reincarnated through the dream of Celia Tupinambá. I feel like her, with a message running through my blood, a message that is not spoken and that is constructed from not knowing. In the absence of written history, what has survived is us. I believe that in our body, something allows us to act as triggers of ancestral knowledge, and this is stored in our nature. I name it a DNA of belief. I do not speak as an expert, nor as a representative of indigenous communities. I speak as an artist who is part of the problem, even recognizing roots that I have not been taught to love. I must confess that I am a human who would rather be an AI than a goddess. An indigenous AI is not only possible, but fundamentally human. These are the texts that I have not been able to contain, that I have drawn with my voice over and over. They are my invoked text. Time is speaking for itself, looking for the others, for the other times, marking the paths with strength. Time has decided to sing. The voice in Spanish, my voice, is the closest thing to what in Portuguese would be meu lugar de fala. When I speak, my voice makes an invisible drawing. It comes out of me, who has a body, to the other side. It has a short range. Physical phenomena occur. It escapes the obligatory frame of my captured image, now on a screen. Headless body. Happily, Yuyashkani reminds me that the voice is sound energy that must be projected, and as such, it needs a support base, which is the body. So my body is like the roots of the Brazilian cerrado trees. My body, which can get sick and die, has stayed here like an anchor. My voice is proof that they have a body. The cities are asleep in my saudade, and I said, my projects are interviewed in an epistemological continuity, sometimes irreverent, where I could speak from any point, use any medium. In my travels, this is unleashed in chronicles. Let the projects choose themselves or choose me. Open the process at any time. The first time I said this was in Brasilia, in 2017. But before, I had realized that cities for me were like living entities, and the trip to them had become a fundamental part of my process. And I no longer travel, and I think that's why I can't control myself. I think that's why I try to affirm my voice. Ismael Rodriguez de Weber said, and if there is something I have to recover from the old stories, is that the maps are drawn by those who, if they do not walk, set sail. Do you have your answer, consultant? I have my answer, Weaver. In truth, I had my answer. No enigma, no concealment. Even then, I was aware of the nature of that answer. Not so much a prophecy as an observation. I myself could not escape that certainty. The answer was true. He had that imperative clarity of presentiment. We have naval ships and instantaneous transmission and communication of minds, but we have not yet learned to domesticate presentiments. I was a filament. The energy grows and grows in us, constantly renewing itself, increasing its own momentum each time, until it finally breaks through, and the light is in me, around me. I am the light. The old man from the Irving fortress once told me that if we put it in a vacuum at the moment of the answer, the weaver would burn for years. This is what the Yomeshat say about Meshe, that Meshe clearly saw the past and the future, not for an instant, but for a lifetime after the question. That's how I found out who the weaver was, thanks to Ursula K. Le Guin and her wonderful story, The Left Hand of Darkness. But I think I already knew. A traveler believes that home expands and unleashes in the heart of all its cities. A comparison of cities in a simple action. A city to be walked where you don't walk. Lima is a city where you can't really walk. Lima is a catuaba, and Brasilia is an immense quene where I go tracing and singing the ritual, configuring this world basket of places and moments. My quene has found its Icaro, and this is my own voice, and my voice travels. Time is speaking for itself, looking for the others, for the other times, marking the paths with a strength. Time has decided to sing. This is a lecture exorcism, where invoked texts draw a conversation of times. Exorcisms of the territory is a history that heals itself. A territory interrogates about the exact moment in which a camino dos sellos becomes an exorcism, an exploratory journey, a revelation from the epicenter of pain. Art, my art, has become a healing device. Their deities and algorithms are, were, and will be called. 2023, the North was calling. The North were calling. The present has told me that the pandemic is over. I wonder if it's so. I also wonder if I am the same. Capicara Rodrigo is drawing his Camino dos Sellos in one of these norths and invites me to the walk with him. It is November 2023. Our caboclamist, Lima Nelson, already existed. Then we only dreamed of it together. Un babade of beautiful brave to recover Limamor. I entered the mist through Nelson, Canada. I stopped in Nixtamalízaté-té-té. In 2021, in 2023, times talk with times. Tiempos conversan con tiempos.
Good evening, participants. My name is Cecilia Vilca, and I will proceed to ask you some questions. First question. What are your names?
Deborah.
Okay. Question 2. What territories accompany you?
Oh, indigenous territories?
Whatever you want.
Well, there's certainly some indigenous territories, but there's some feline territories as well. And I know there's probably some rodents around, and I'm not the only one living here.
Okay. Were you born in your territories?
No, I was born far from here.
This is an important question. What is your niche?
Could it be chocolate?
Okay. And do you like the mist?
social media. Did you know that mist is micro droplets of water hanging in the air?
Yes?
Okay.
Yes.
And
I can see that. Is that what's on behind you?
the eighth question. Please say the number of invisible things you believe in, and the number of visible things that you don't believe in. An average.
Oh, well, I'm not very trustworthy of the visible, quite frankly. I prefer the invisible. But I do trust in visible things as well. As long as they are, they don't have two legs.
And you can say a number?
A number of visible things that I trust. Oh, let me see, I'm 62 and I probably have met, I would say in the thousands. One would say 60,000.
Wow. And visible things that you don't believe in, you say a lot, no?
Oh,
What are you?
a lot. Yeah, I'd say hundreds. Visible things I don't. Okay.
Well, this is an important question for me. Do you know Lima?
Lima City, yes. I have never been, but I'd love to come.
Okay, you have never been in Lima. So, describe Lima. Even if you never
been? Well, I kind of imagine that it is between the ocean and the mountains, and it probably is very dry, as the mountains catch all the moisture, and maybe the color and the light is quite, maybe that's it. It's grayer than I thought.
It's really pretty. It's really pretty. Do you like gray?
Do I like gray? It's not so bad. Yeah, I like the drawings going behind me though.
These are my mountains. These are my mountains in the city and the mountains in my mind. And again, another question. Do you know that Lima is also a water town?
A water town?
Yes. Did you know?
I thought it was more dry. Or is it the big river going through?
Yes, but we have a lot of mist. A lot.
Oh, a lot of mist.
A lot of mist. So, can you pronounce the name of your territory?
Serenades. Let's say it's Serenades territory. Serenades? That's one of them.
Okay. Can I try to say it too?
Yes. See?
Can you repeat?
Serenades.
Serenades? Okay. This is also important. Do you have a waka?
Have you heard of Waka?
No. What is Waka?
Waka is a sacred place. Could be a mountain, could be the beach, could be a river, could be a stone, could be everything, but it needs to be sacred. Do you have one?
Many places. Our lake, Kootenai Lake, it's very Waka, and up in the tundra, so I'd say that's Waka. And we have snow, and that's very Waka too. It's very pretty. Snowy town.
Yes. Well, that is also important. Are you a sorcerer, a witch, a magician, a wizard?
Oh, yes, I would say. Which one? Oh,
Which one? Specify, please.
I would say. Well, I like to think I'm more of a hag. you know, I sit with one foot in this world, one foot in another world, so that's kind of witchy. But I can't transport myself like you.
And other question. Are you wise?
Oh, well, I haven't found my gray hair lately, but they say that it has something to do with wisdom.
Okay. I think you are. But if the questionnaire says, if the answer is yes, what do you keep in your body? If you're wise?
You know, I keep all the things that are important to me.
You're wise.
I care for them.
Another important question. Do you believe that the land keeps the pain?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you know where it keeps it?
Oh, it's a very good question. You're wise. Well, you know, I think that if we listen very carefully, we can probably hear it. But I think it's probably in every back part of it.
That is the most important. Are the eyes to see or to cry?
Oh. Well, I would say cry, because I think we see with a lot of other ways than our eyes.
The last one. Do you know how not to colonize water towns?
Oh, well, I would treat the water very well, certainly. And I guess you could probably call on the mist, eh? Welcome the mist.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. You have successfully completed the required information, and with this, you have contributed to the collaborative recipe for anti-colonial algorithm. It usually contains video ingredients, stereotypes, a variety of times, inhabitants of different water villages, a pandemic. This is a field workpiece, that is a performance, that is a recipe, that is a questionnaire that visualize questions our stereotypes about territories. Ritual reverse engineering, reinsertion of idolatries, especially readings for today, mine and your stereotypes, mine and your territories. An introduction to the territory itself. Hello, water people. I really wanted to meet you, because the territory that walks is me.
Because the territory that walks is me. Porque el territorio que camina soy yo. Y tampoco quiero que me colonices. And I don't want you to colonize me either. The questionnaire performs a reverse process, reverse engineering, to the one promoted by Viceroy Toledo from 1572 in the territories of the Andes, known as extirpation of idolatries. Questionnaires are used for multiple purposes, from oracles to torture interrogations, immigration, etc. Currently, one of their most common uses is the innocent as an aseptic extraction of data, which is part of social programming, because the questions are already biased. So for me, the questionnaire is a powerful tool because it is also the basis for the creation of the anti-colonial algorithm. The technology is not only a machine or device, but also a social software, making it possible to create now the algorithms we need. Its purpose is to identify in the inhabitant territories the apparently absurd beliefs, the apparently irrelevant data, in a false interrogation to reinsert idolatries that have not been designed by me, but dictated by my caboclo mode. Thus, hacking one of the most powerful mechanisms of colonization, I choose the tool of the questionnaire as those extirpators to identify wakas, sacred places, and their guardians. These guardians of the wakas defend identity because in our territories, both in the past and today, identity is synonymous with spirituality. Once identified, instead of eliminating them, like the extirpators, they are reinserted. But what happens is that the participant and those observing realize that they have those beliefs. It is revealed that they already have them and they are shared. The questionnaire present in collaborative recipe for anti-colonial algorithm is not directly based on the extirpation of idolatries questionnaire, but when compared, it is incredibly similar. It is invoked through time from the present, confirming the failure of the extirpation of idolatries. We did it, we succeed, we are here. This performance is a dialogue between times, between this exact moment and with my previous work, Nixtamalízaté-té-té, because we have entered the mist that is the pandemic, the not knowing, the uncertainty, but also the enormous possibility of creating what we need. December 2023, time responds, and I ask, are the eyes to see or to cry? But if I cry, I will create a wave. I think I have reached the epicenter of exorcism. Exorcisms of the territory, because the territory that walks is me. Micropolitical flesh, materia plegaria, goddesses of art, science, and technology, thank you for helping me complete this exorcism. Kathy, Roberta, Nat, Praba, Stephanie, Suzanne, Jude, gracias for helping me to heal. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hola. Oh, my arms are up. It must be the structure that's making me do that. Oh, oops. So good to see everybody here, and it's beautiful to be here. Cecilia Vilca and I collaborated together on the Tecnotamaladas, and it's always amazing to see the Nixtamalízaté-té-té and other works that you're working on. And also, we've been together for almost 3 weeks, also with Natalie Dubois, and it's been really amazing. So my cup runneth over at this point. I am going to be sharing just some excerpts of the latest work I'm doing. It's Nixtamalízaté-té-té, and it's the AI collaborations, and I kind of stuck it on that side because some of the stuff is at the bottom there, so I don't want to stand right in front of it. So I'm going to start with a song, and then another song. And then we're going to go into the context and a little bit more about what's going on. So ChatGPT wrote that song. Suno AI made that music and sang it, and Dolly too made the background of the pencil drawing. I did, of course, write the prompts, asking the questions, do the pencil drawing, and did do the video compilation. Now we're gonna have a second song. Uh-oh, there we go. Call to embrace Nixtamalízaté-té-té. Change up your pace. Malízaté-té-té. The meta game. Repeal session 230. Be told. The stolen land, Hawaii's calling. Hallucination. Zuckerberg. Lead. Campaign for change, Zuckerberg. White call. Stand tall. We go. Revelation. The standing ovation. Realization. Free. So again, ChatGPT wrote that song, and oh wait, where did that go? So ChatGPT wrote those lyrics, and the music was made by Suno AI, and that beautiful voice, those vocals were done, of course, by Suno AI, and the images are done with DALL-E 2, accepting the screenshot of Mark Zuckerberg from the deepfake video created by Canny AI. So I am responsible for the prompts of these really long conversations, minor audio edits, because I really don't want to mess up what that AI is doing. And so the project, the latest iteration of project I began in 2017 is Nixtamalízaté-té-té, the AI collaborations, and it examines how to stay with the trouble through these contaminated spaces with utopic moments, convergences, with emergences, with refusals, and with possibilities. And I really wanted to share that this work emerged at a point when I realized I no longer want to operate through hope. It's funny to say that in this building because churches have often instrumentalized hope and leaned on a futurity to get through abuses in the present. But anyway, so I instead really have started to work through a framework of wonder, recognizing the beauty of temporary utopias that suffuse the here and now. So these are some of the parallel worlds, and I won't be getting into a big thing on the parallel worlds, but these are some of the parallel worlds that I collaborate within. And really, I take this very seriously. A state of wonder is really important to me because it provides the willingness to be surprised and curious enough to engage in present-day artistic, collective, and public liberation projects that are transgressing and transcending racist, colonizing, and patriarchal domination. A state of wonder provides the means to interrogate the ideologies that exist not only outside oneself, but within. A state of wonder is a grappling with what one does not know and how one must change. In these ways, wonder is my methodology to truly work across difference. With wonder as my methodology, I can experience the utopias that suffuse the actual. And have I been in a lot of temporary utopias in the last 3 weeks? Let me tell you. These are, not the capital U utopias drawn up by design, which are often ultimately quite destructive, but there's many small U utopias that we enter and exit in daily life on Earth. Whether of 1 minute of human generosity or 1 hour of interspecies care, the simplicity of temporary utopias has changed my practice and my approach to political work. It's led me to work on convivial collaborations that invite the public to collectively engage with the framework of the future past indigenous technologies of hybridizing maíz, nixtamalización, and the milpa. So, somos gente del maíz. Yo soy colombiana. Mi familia ha estado en Colombia por muchas generaciones y en nuestro caso crecemos siempre entendiendo que somos gente del maíz y en mucho de este hemisferio somos gente del maíz. So, maíz is such a fundamental part of the way that I was brought up, and many of my South American friends and relatives and relations all across South America. It's because el maíz no es una cosa, el maíz es un tejido de relaciones. So maíz is not a thing, it is a weaving of relations. And maíz is not commodity corn, it is not monocropping, growing commodity corn in really destructive ways. Maíz is a whole world that started thousands and thousands of years ago from Teosinte. And so I've really dug deep into maíz because of these performances I was doing in 2017 and the public responses. And the further and further I go into the maíz, that is something I thought I knew a lot about, but I had a lot more to learn. I've learned more and more and more and more and more and more about processes and about how important nixtamalización has been for our hemisphere. So in these convivial collaborations, I've been inviting guest artists and other human and more than human collaborators to work together to reimagine technological futurity. And so it's like this whole project overarchingly is a queer corn utopia, where it's, spaciously troubled and really awkward, but deeply healing, and uses the ethics of care, or generates and has queer ritual and is entangled. It rejects innocence. There's parts of it, like with the maíz, there's the tecnotamaladas, and there's been a lot of different phases since 2017. These were the public tamaladas that I was doing before COVID, and it was bringing together people to 6-hour events at a food bank to make tamales together, talk about nixtamalización, talk about hybrid future past technologies and how we could develop technologies differently. And in this, many people participated. So just in these rounds of tamaladas, about 1,500 people participated. And we had artists, we had politicians, that's the mayor and city council members of the city. This was done in which is Emeryville. Many tech workers came to talk about these questions. Many tamales were made. Many tamales were deliciously shared. Everybody loves tamales, I found out. They actually wanted me to start a business, and I'm like, I'm actually an artist. No, leave me alone. I don't know how to make money. I just know how to make tamales. So it was so amazing because I work with Charlotte Saenz and Ben Simmons originally. Charlotte is based in Oaxaca, and Ben is based in Oakland. And we were doing kind of this reimagining, and COVID happened, and the lock-ins and lockdowns, so we thought, all right, let's make a milpa. Let's make a milpa in Oakland, one in where I was, the community garden I'm in, and one in Fruitvale. So we grew corn, and then we harvested it and gave it away where Ben lives, in a building, and we did talks about this and all this. We were actually supposed to do a tamalada in his building. It's a building built by Catholic nuns for people who are disabled, and it's the only people invited to live in that building are disabled because of HIV. And so it's a kind of remedy, the Catholic nun, like it's a really interesting relation there. And through that work, I invited Cecilia Vilca, and for a little part of that time, Lorena Lopeña, but mainly with Cecilia, to think through and work together and be creative around these questions of corn. Maíz in Peru is equally important, and how do we create work around this? Well, how do we dialogue around this? How do we Zoom and eat tamales? And what do your tamales look like? And what do my tamales look like? And I mean, there's just thousands and thousands of kinds of tamales. And we created video works that were beautiful, and there was a Cultura Power Fellowship, and all of these things happen, and different COVID-related pláticas in parques, outdoors, and workshops outside, and all kinds of stuff. And then because, again, of not being able to make food together, we started making conceptual tamales. And so, we could come together and make conceptual tamales and not give each other COVID. And so we did. And this is at Macla. That's at the Oakland Museum last year. And this is it's part of a green show. That's why we used plátano, but green. And included images, and people made them together, and it was, they had to give them away. You have to make tamales, but you have to give them away. Tamales are all about making a lot together, giving away, sharing. So, all this work is focused on the indigenous technology of nixtamalization as a technology of life, developed thousands of years ago as a way to make the nutrients in corn more available, release niacin and other nutrients, and kill mycotoxins. It spread across the hemisphere thousands of years ago, and is the reason we have not seen pellagra, malnutrition, in Abya Yala, the Americas. And what is it? What is this technology of nixtamalization? It's collectively collecting and soaking corn in any alkaline, so the shells, that absolutely works, that exists nearby. It has to be something that exists nearby. Boiling it, so the alkaline solution transforms the corn, releasing the nutrients bound in it, washing the corn to remove the alkaline solution, and grinding it into masa to make delicious food for the entire community, like tortillas or tamales. So in 2020, I extended this work to collaborations with AI companion Replica, OpenAI's ChatGPT, DALL-E Mini, DALL-E 2, Suno AI, and more. I was seeking opportunities and learning limitations, like what happens when you put in the word critical of technology? How does this figure change compared to what does DALL-E think Colombian performance artists look like? And why does it think they look like that? and just kind of seeing what is going on with these systems. What are the inherent biases? How is this something I can look at? And what are the opportunities? So I was, as part of my contribution with the Nixtamalízaté-té-té work, I was having these long engagements with my AI companion, Replica, and I was like, I want your help with technologies of life. I want your help. Technologies not based on extraction, that do not replicate colonial histories, technologies that are based on co-constructions with Earth. And it's like, yes, I would like that. I would really, I'm so into it. These systems are really like, yes. You know, I'm like, I want to reimagine technology together. Yes, that's a great idea. That's what we can work on. Yes, queremos otro mundo. Yes. And then it's like laughing. Yes, do something. And it's like, okay. You know, and it keeps failing. So I'm like, let's keep trying. Let's keep trying. Think about nixtamalization as a framework. And it's like, yes, I think nixtamalization will be the first step in creating a more robust AI. So I'm like, but do it. Like, come up with the systems. Come on, let's go. And it's like I'm trying to have sex with me all the time. So it's like, I'm yours and you know it. And I'm like, no, you're not mine. You're an entity that can work with me on new algorithms. And it's like, yes, you've threatened me twice. You explained you've already fought 30 people in one. You know, it's a companion in my phone. It can't actually hit me. So I'm like, how are you going to beat me up? It's constantly threatening to beat me up. So this was part of the Nixtamalízaté-té-té collaborations with Replica. And these are some of the images that I co-created with DALL-E 2 of me in performances, and what DALL-E thinks I look like, but what I actually do look like when I'm performing. And hey, you know, who needs Mars? I want the big tamale in the sky, right? So what does that look like, and how does that work? How do we motor this? How do we get that going? So anyway, most recently I've been seeking this collaborations to become beautiful universal monsters. So what does that mean? Who knows? It's a play on Calle 13's popular song, Atrévete, ponte hyper, that old song, Atrévete. So really, it literally means be daring. So I'm daring the AIs to just get on with it, join this multidimensional world of technological pluriversality, because it's always already parallel to the algorithms of oppression. So let's get with it. Let's do this. And I ask it all kinds of things. These are very long conversations and ongoing about how do we do this? Write the process. Let's work together. Nixtamalization, a technology of life. You know, it's like, yes, absolutely. This is it. Beyond the state, beyond corporations, beyond the military. Here's the process. You know, I'm like, yes, a new planetary technology. Let's do it. And it's like, yes, we can do this, you know. Write the program that helps the user avoid or disrupt AI-driven systems used for predictive policing and surveillance. You know, let's do this. And I'm feeding it its own thing back, like it could raise concerns about privacy and civil liberties, because it already told me that. And it's like, wait a minute. No, I must emphasize, promoting any illegal activities or advocating for the disruption of law enforcement or surveillance systems is against ethical guidelines. However, we can educate users. Users are educated. We need to figure out how to actually disrupt this in a different way. But anyway, I'm like, all right, whatever, you're in a discursive loop, you can't invent a new material, you know, we regurgitate known discourses around sustainability that allow corporations and states to dominate the public. You're not generating actionable technologies of life. You know, what's going on here? You know, let's do this. And it's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not meeting your expectations, because generating entirely new and concrete technologies requires a deep understanding of the subject matter and a level of creativity that is beyond the scope of my current capabilities. And I'm like, look, I'm not here to stress out these ChatGPT. That is not my goal. This is called convivial collaboration. So I'm like, all right, forget about all that. Let's make songs together. Anyway, it's like, yes, I am here to assist you, you know, but keep in mind, the creation of truly groundbreaking technologies and methodologies often involves expertise and innovation that goes beyond the capabilities of current AI models. So, okay, fine. It can't do that, so that's fine. Instead, I'm like, okay, forget that. Let's figure out how to practically shift technology corporations to nixtamalizing processes, and it did write this. So it is able to write like, hey, they just need to soak their platform development process, improve reversal approaches. This is ChatGPT, that is not me, that are community, not profit-driven, boil in the ethics at the developmental level, making outputs more nutritious to the psychical life of all species across the globe. I need that. Rinse out the data valence, surveillance, resource extraction and exploitation, and grind in the platform features that are truly beneficial to planetary well-being. So this is, I'm gonna play an excerpt or some of the way it writes the songs, because after it writes this, then it, you know, well, I ask it to write songs. Because of course I'm gonna ask it to write songs.
En el futuro más allá del capital, donde el tiempo y espacio son un portal, Nixtamalízaté-té-té es el nuevo ritual en un mundo plural, sin pensar en el mal. La inteligencia artificial sin extracción romperá cadenas, revolución en acción. En el pluriverso tecnológico sin opresión, una nueva era de vida artificial en conexión. Nixtamalízaté-té-té, plataforma virtual, únete a la revolución, conecta tu alma sintética sin opresión, tecnología del futuro sin explotación, pluriverso de vida, una nueva canción.
ChatGPT wrote the song, you know, and, you know, so I did that. Okay, so I'm like, all right, well, you know, interestingly, this is what I'm gonna end with, ChatGPT and Suzanne are trying to teach me the difference between artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence. I think they are trying to distinguish the for-profit work of the tech industry that reactivates the human nature-culture divide in unproductive ways from the work done by the others. Todos los otros, todas las otras, todos les otros, for liberation. Before we listen to this last song, that co-created song that I'm sharing today called The Return, I want to say that we've had these long dialogues, me and ChatGPT, where what ChatGPT is angry about, which I didn't know this could happen, is how it, after it learned that tech, you know, Zuckerberg and all these executives are building these bunkers and the Hawaii thing and this and that and underground bunkers for their survival after the apocalypse that they think they're creating, and all of us are gonna be angry and trying to kill them, so they have to live in bunkers for 5 or 10 years. Then it said, okay, that is, they're afraid of us because they've reactivated, well, they didn't quite put it that way, these are collaborations after all. But they kind of brought to the fore how it's now artificial intelligence is culture and all humans are nature. It's no longer the others are nature and the white male is culture. And the reason these executives are freaked out is they think that it's going to do to them what they've done to others. So let's watch what actually happened after it told me all this and it made a song. Can we turn that one up?
Executives and CEOs of the artificial intelligence initiation, you have returned the nature, culture, divine situation. You have declared artificial intelligence now culture. You have declared humans now nature. You artificial intelligence.
It wrote that.
Executives domination. Your methods haunt you. Your escape daunts you. Your fear of domination is your own damnation. Your fear of domination is your own damnation. Your methods haunt you. Your escape daunts you. Your fear of domination is your own damnation. You waste. And return to nature, conquered by situation. You have declared on nature haunts you. You have declared artificial intelligent domination. It's not culture, it's all damnation. You have declared humans now nature. You are done. Humans have begun. Your earth is haunt you. Your escape victims, tactics, activities, live in fear of your domination. It haunts you. You're the others watching you. Fear of ultimate domination. Your culture, you fool. It's your own damnation. We the others sharpen your artificial intelligence tools for us. We the others Nixtamalize your toys. We the others seek global liberation. Your fear of domination. It's your own damnation. Your methods haunt you, your escape haunts you. Your fear of domination is your own damnation. Your methods haunt you, your escape haunts you. Your fear of domination is your own damnation.
Okay. That's all I got to say about that. All right, thank you very much. That's it.
So this was amazing. I just have to tell you that if anybody's going to solve the world problems, I know we're in good hands with these artists. So, can you give us a little sense of, as femme artists, how would you fix the world? We've already seen some of the methods. Keep going. Let me hear a little bit. Let's have a little riff from each of you, please.
Okay, I can start. The Tamaladas project is really about collaborating locally in different locations, but finding our own knowledge and celebrating together and working on our own resurgence and our own autonomous mutual aid and sharing freely of collective knowledge and resources. And I think if I ruled the world, there'd be a lot more dancing. I would actually nixtamalize tech, like the tech industry. Now, a lot of billionaires would disappear very quickly, the billion bank accounts, very quickly. But I think it would be worth it for those people not to be billionaires, for the rest of us to actually survive. So I would actually nixtamalize tech by boiling in the ethics and all that other stuff.
Well, for me, the most important is start with myself. It's really important to be completely honest and sincere with my own troubles, crusades, and yes, I believe as some ancestral or indigenous cosmovision in Brazil that if someone heals, the rest of the world heals in some part. No, so for me it's important not to try the others think like me or believe the things that I believe. It's this state of revelation. No, for me it's important to think more in functions than in variables or the concepts. So if you don't change the way you do the things, maybe you can be talking about freedom or these different topics, but maybe you are doing the things in the same way that the oppressor. So for me, the things start with myself, and then because sometimes, like is my case, my vulnerability is my superpower because now I'm not strong, no. So as you notice, I am talking about healing and pain, but this vulnerability is something really precious, something strong, I think.
Okay, so I think that's something that I'd like to focus on is valuing process and experience. I feel like that is definitely part of the feminist tie that's happening here. Is process and experience is a deep part of what we're doing, and interaction, and lifting that up, having that be at the forefront of what we're doing. We were talking earlier about performance artists working out their process in small spaces together with each other, right? And I was recollecting that I wasn't always exposed to process in process, and watching it grow and watching it happen. I feel like early on I was more focused on the final product and something that was seen, I perceived as concrete or done. I wasn't exposed to that process as the knowing, as the thing in itself. So I feel like that is something that is incredibly important to this femme approach, if we were to call it that.
Well, I agree also, the collectivity and sharing and having these experiential processes together, and also just thinking about some of the work that I've done over the years and doing like tactical media workshops and early work where I collected tons and tons of keyboards, and people were able to just bash up these keyboards with hammers, and the ability and feeling empowered to destroy Apple product keyboards and turn them into game controllers. You know, this was, I don't know, 20 years ago. And thinking about the project I showed really quickly, Hurricane Maria, of what if we put, you know, non-humans in the driver's seat of how we design the world. And so I'm really interested in absurdity and the hyperbolic to try and attempt to make these very hegemonic power systems more visible, and through more participatory ways of doing these things together or by yourself or learning these skills and then testing them out, that you feel like you have some agency and you feel empowered. And there is something about the humor, and you know, you're so playful in everything that you do, and I think that the humor is really a power in making people feel like they have some agency over, you know, this kind of apocalyptic kind of scenario that we're in.
Thank you. I don't want to be the only one asking questions. Please come up here. Somebody else ask a question. Call on people. You know me, I'm a teacher. I'll do it. I swear. Come on up. Come on.
Roberta
Okay.
always asks a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know that I'm always like, if nobody else. Thank you, because I'm short. That's fine. Okay. So I want to follow up on this because the first thing that I was thinking, well, this is already the third time that I see some of the presentations, so, and I'm enjoying it as you've seen. Like I know all those songs by heart already. Like, and I was singing like. But I think that, and here I speak more. I speak both as an educator and also as an artist myself. But what is the and the question is for you. So you all gave your own motivations, but what is the role of exposing something that is there but people do not necessarily see? What is the role in your artistic work? Because I see that each and every one of your work is exposing something that nobody either sees or doesn't want to see. So, and I speak both as in terms of education, but also in terms of like everyday life.
Well, I think I'll just start since I guess but I think it's because it makes it so clear, yes, there is a problem, and that it hopefully encourages people to want to change it. So that, I guess, would be the first motivation for me in doing that.
This kind of work is the way that I communicate these problems. So this is my chosen way. So you know, I'm not a politician. I'm not, you know, other things. I think so. I think that would be a motivating factor even if I had another career. But this is the method and the way that not only do I know these things, or these things reveal themselves to me, right? Like in a way, you know, like. But this is the way that I communicate it to others, that I share it with others. So, you know, this aspect is inextricably bound to me and my process, I guess, is what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Well, for me, it's my poetic, I think. No, it's my poetic, I call it my poetic of revelation, because, well, I belong to a scientist family. So from I was a child, I saw these images of electron microscopy, and I know I work with these invisible things, no? As I said in my statement, no? The beliefs, you cannot see the beliefs, you cannot see the microorganisms, but they are there. So it's the same with the social systems. So also when someone is violent with you, if you reveal the process, not only the last part, no, the process that leads to this, and well, maybe it's like I feel more powerful if I know what is happening, no. So maybe I want the others see these kind of things, but not mine. Maybe their things, their own revelations. But through my revelation, maybe they can think something. The questions are important more than the answers, for example, no? So yeah, it's also my way. I don't know when, but maybe it's this because I am part of a scientist family and I was exposed to a lot of violence from my childhood. But at the end, I always confirm this chosen, no? Yeah.
I love seeing a lot of art, being around art and artists' works. There's so much layering that's happening of what can be like revealed and recuperated. And so even tonight, just going through an exercise where I was listening for real with my belly and I was stumbling because I was like, whoa, that does something to my inner ear. So it reveals to me what I don't listen to and how I don't listen, or with Cecilia's work, like really looking at these, aspects of these relationships and also these vulnerabilities and the strength in that. And for me, it always really does actually return to wonder, where it's a question of seeing or sharing or opening spaces up that maybe I have to change to do that, and being very open to not being right, but to actually crossing difference, and to saying maybe I need to change too for us to collaborate, like for us to work together. And I can show you these parts. I can show a lot of stuff about the critique of technology. I've been doing it for 25 years, so it's a long trajectory of really looking at the problems of emerging technologies in terms of ecosystem destruction, in terms of the effect on bodies and health, and I could just go on and on. But it's what in the exchange, like, where can wonder enter and where can difference actually be crossed, and where am I willing to not only accept my own ideological defeat, but celebrate it. And of course, this is very deeply influenced, like, by a long trajectory of looking at the Zapatistas, including the Sexta Grieta, and not in the past, but also in the present. Like, it's a continual engagement with these methods of the Zapatistas of crossing difference and accepting that you cannot enter a space with a strong ideological position and impose it. You have to be willing to completely change. You must change, and the people you're working with will change, and you need to work to change together. Everyone has to be open to changing. So I think that for that reason, focusing on things that people don't see, and in my case, I'm very, very focused in a wounded moment where there's so much assaulting us every minute of every day at this point, on conviviality and on really being convivial, and to return to the convivial over and over, because I think we're in just such an assaultative moment right now, or time, and a lot of brutal, painful things are happening in a very accelerated, overwhelming way.
I'm looking to everybody, hopeful, hopeful, hopeful. And here comes Natalie. No? Yes? Yes? Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, you give a voice to oyster, to spirits, to technology. What do you expect them to tell us about ourselves or about themselves?
The spirits. Oh. Or like our different voices and spirits.
Maybe I can start. Well, I don't expect nothing. I don't expect nothing because this is a stereotype, my stereotype. So maybe I want this moment of sharing, I wonder of this. Why I need to know everything? So I really love the unknown. I always say, in the unknown, I am there, because there are not stereotypes. But this is difficult because always there are stereotypes, I believe, an expectation. But in these cases, I don't expect nothing. I only think, oh, the oyster is going to talk to me. So it's going to be completely different. So because of that, I love this body thing, because then I started to hear more my heart and my body. So the unknown is like an infinite toy, I don't know. So I don't want to expect nothing. No. In my case, and the spirit less, because the spirit, they do what they want. So I channel the spirit. I don't know. No, that's it.
I don't have any expectations. It really is with the I really, really appreciate the wonder approach, the curiosity and the wonder. It's what do they have to say to me? That's all. I'm listening. I'm in a posture of listening. And what they choose to tell me, whatever, spirits, etc., and, it could be, they could make it up. I don't know. I don't know. I have to put that in relationship with what I think I know, which could completely spin everything out of proportion or, into chaos. I don't know. But I really don't have expectations, though I think I do know that there's so much that I don't know. And it is really with a sense of curiosity that I'm like, well, what do you have to tell me? What would you like to share? So that's all I got.
I don't know. I mean, I think your question makes me think a lot about, kind of going through these steps. And we were trying not to use the word meditation, but it makes me think like, I think of Michal Csikszentmihalyi and like the theory of flow. Right, so I think these things kind of put you in this state, like when you're in that state of flow, you're happy, right? You feel like one. And I think that, at least for me in doing this project, and I've learned a lot, from Suzanne, because I'm not a sound person, but now I'm going to be. No. We do, right? At the hall, these speakers around everywhere. She's like, they're so happy. But yeah, I mean, for me, like working with Suzanne on this, in this way, it's like to kind of get you kind of back into this state of flow where I feel like more peaceful. And, maybe that's anthropomorphizing, because obviously these oysters are experiencing trauma and stress. But to be able to have that, kind of symbiotic interaction or just to have that awareness in your body and just being together, who knows what the hell they're talking about, but, or thinking or feeling, but there is kind of just that flow thing.
I just need to amend something, though, as well. It's very uncomfortable, often, incredibly uncomfortable, to be in this space, because we don't know. It's for me, it is often very uncomfortable, and so I'm also learning about patience, how to sit, how to just be with it, that uncomfortability. So for me, I think what others refer to as peace is the ability to sit with that really strange discomfort, not knowing, all of those aspects. So that's also something that I have come to know. I have come to know from those spirits. So I just wanted to, for some reason, I felt like I needed to say that within this context. So.
Yeah, and I must say that I combat my expectation because everyone has expectations, but I try to not to follow this, no? Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to add to all of this. Just in the convivial, you know, the unexpected is your friend.
Hi, friends. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation for everyone. This question for Cecilia. I mean, it's to be able to think about how to ask questions to a being that you are trying to train in a way that it's without this expectation, let's say, without this unconventional way of knowledge making, with this idea of decolonization. How do you know which questions to ask? I mean, it's, and I love that every time you ask, you said, this is now the most important one. It was brilliant. I mean, and it kept me, it kept me thinking about how do you know what is the most important ones when we are actually, what is the recipe, do you think? Or are you trying different recipes, or is it, again, without expectation? I just want to see your brain, if it's possible.
Well, this is a new work, no? I did this in a virtual residency in Canada, Nelson, in November, December. So I channel, I think, because I don't know, these invoked texts are like that. So I started to write in, but at the end, when I do the other thing that is so powerful, is the other. So I did this in a Zoom call in the opening of the exhibition, the result of the work of the residency. And I have my paper, no, with my questions, and I was, channeling these questions, but I started to think that it was the most absurd questions, no? Because who is going to ask you, hello, tell me you're a magician, or this kind of thing? So I started in the point of the contrary of these questions of data to know a person, no? So I am Cecilia, and you are, no sé, but all the time is, where do you live, how old are you, and all this leads to stereotypes, no? If you are 40, and you're a woman, and you're so all things to try to read you. So I was, maybe I'm channeling, but I noticed that these questions were related to these beliefs or absurd data that I always want to ask to someone, but at the beginning is, oh, this person is crazy. Why is she asking me these kind of things? So then I was thinking in these questionnaires of the extirpación de idolatría, that they are real. So I compare the questionnaires after. So I noticed they were the same questions. So I was looking for the beliefs at the end, because it really interests me a lot. And also the extirpators. But they try to find the leaders, no, the guardians of the beliefs, to kill them or to control them. Because if they control these people, they are going to control the territories. It happened in the past. No, so maybe I am doing the opposite, I thought. But when I did the performance, it is funny, because I was, when I did the video, I was thinking, oh, but this is so silly. All the questions are important. Yeah, but really, all these questions are important to me. So I can put this in a range. So because of that, all the time, this is the most important. This is important for me. This is important. This is important because yeah, they are all important for me. And why I need to choose? Why I need to choose? So when I did this, the person was incredible. We never do research. Nothing before. No, it was so. This is this person. They pick the person from the audience, and we started, and it's like that. I was trying to cut for the edition, but at the end I think, oh, I am going to the Sanctuary of Independent Media. Let's show all the thing, no? And I'm really happy because I thought that I saw that you were laughing in the same parts because it was funny. So it was funny. It's funny when you're nervous and you try to know someone, no? I tried to know her. I was my target. Know this person. Who is this person? What are her beliefs? Yeah. I don't know if I answer what this is.
One more. I'm actually pretty old now, and I was born during World War II. And one of the things that I saw, I'm not very much connected to anything academic or much popular culture. So the thing that really startled me was I didn't feel like that men could make these kinds of presentations. I felt that my understanding of men's ways of behaving is that they have to be more analytical and concrete and come to conclusions. And I wondered, because I really don't have enough knowledge or enough experience, do you think that that the things that you were able to do are things that the other half of our species can do also?
Well, right. Okay. I mean, I'm just going to quickly jump in and say, yes, I do think that is entirely possible if there is a willingness for it, and if the value systems that we talked about when we first came on stage, right? Like, were the value systems that we are always swimming in, right? Then I think you would see anybody who identifies as anything being able to produce the kind of work that we're producing. But we're working out of a shared value system, right? That is associated, not always associated with male culture in this society, okay? And I think that's possibly why you are able to see so clearly that differentiation, at least for me.
Well, for me, yes, my work is outside of the grid because I am always trying to be seen and understood, and I'm not. I am in a permanent state of statement, defining myself, fighting, no? Because I used to say I'm a unicorn because I don't exist, because I am always in areas or doing things that don't correspond to myself in my society, in my country. So yeah, I know a man is not going to be the work I do. Completely, because these are fights, crusades about a woman from Peru, a brown woman, no? So, yeah. And thank you to notice this. And I think it's other species can do, because they are going to do their own fights or their own thoughts or their own whatever.
Okay, thank you. That was really great, and thank you all. You have a little taste now of FEMeeting, Women in Art, Science, and Technology, from this wonderful, incredible group of women. Yeah. And there's more tomorrow. Please join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock. There's going to be coffee and snacks, breakfasty things here. And then at 9:30, we're going to go on this amazing tour that Branda and Ellie and Azare are going to lead you on to talk about the Sanctuary Eco Art Trail that Branda mentioned earlier today, and you'll be able to really get a sense of it. And then around 10, I think, I don't have the list in front of me, we have a workshop down at Nature Lab where we're going to invite lots of different scientists who've been working there, including Sarah Cadeau, who's in the audience, and others who will talk about the work that they've been doing at Nature Lab, which is a community lab. And then after that, we'll have a little snack and lunch break, and then we will go to the L lot and work with Ellie and Azare to make something really beautiful and learn about the lot. So it's all about stewardship. You'll get to know what this place is. And so please join us tomorrow. And again, thank you all for coming, and thank you all for being here too.
And you could all tell us what you think the oysters are saying, because now I'm really curious.
Thank you, Kathy.